Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L coming in with Shokugeki no Soma chapter 300, my thoughts and my impressions on a Sunday. And apologies for the later video. This time it was because my family was around and I do YouTube in secret from my family, so I couldn't really record easily without them finding out. Anyway, that aside, let's talk about this chapter, man. Chapter 300 featured an excellent character reveal. And so, you know, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all kinds of things based off of this one little character reveal. And we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be talking technical things. We're going to be talking just my general opinions things too. So topics we're pretty much going to be covering in this video include what things can we pull away from Mana's design, Erina's mother? What kind of implications does this mean for the story? And just, you know, how is this going, really, in the grand scheme of things, and any kind of patterns that we're seeing? So overall, guys, you know, if you've been watching the videos, you know, like I was kind of like 80% sure. I've kind of floated the idea out in at least 2 of the previous videos, just that this is most likely Erina's mother. Mind you, there was still that air of uncertainty, but you know, it was at a point where it could be argued that it was Erina's mother. It was at a point that if it happened, it wouldn't be that crazy, which leads to the title of the video. Like, are we really surprised that it's Erina's mother? Given all things, given the drama going around here, yeah. So I'm pretty happy that it actually turned out to be that way. And, well, actually, I don't know. I don't know if... It's because just with it being Erina's mother, it just opens up a lot of things. And okay, I don't know how to phrase this. I think intellectually I like it, but it's just I'm still a little bit bothered by it because of other things going on with the Shokugeki no Soma series. But still, I am going to take this one as a victory. And for anyone else that agreed that it was going to be Erina's mother as the bookmaster, I'm going to, yeah, let's just take it as a victory and move on. Anyway. The big gist of the chapter, though, is Erina's getting screwed over by her mom, and there's like some deep-seated mommy-daughter trouble going on with this whole situation. So I'm just trying to think about how to start this, and I guess we can just tackle it. We could just tackle it from the writing standpoint in regards to the blue. You know, if you ask me, do I respect the blue as a tournament or as a competition? The answer is very easily no, not at all. The blue sucks. The blue is... There's no reason for me to respect the blue when the bookmaster herself, the person that's putting this on herself, doesn't respect the blue. There's not even... Yeah, there's... Why should I respect it if she doesn't? Like, guys, look, man, again, in the context of the Shokugeki no Soma world, which is an exaggerated version of our real world, how can this fly? How can someone be legitimately put up to do what? Erina did like 3 or 4 I think we saw 3 foodgasms, so Erina did 3 matches back to back. Like, how am I supposed to expect that anyone in the food world, given how hard Shokugeki no Soma is with its judges, how does anyone let that fly, right? It's just people who are viewing this. Anyone who is watching that situation knows is exceedingly unfair. And mind you, you know, people will always be able to say that, well, the Shokugeki no Soma world has taste and food being an overriding factor. Man, my words, such that, you know, people will ignore things in terms of food. But given things we've seen before, given how we saw the judges of Shokugeki no Soma reacting to the Azami administration, we know that in writing there are people who actually have common sense within this world, such that anyone who is watching this would think that the blue is just abusing their power. And that's pretty much what we have in the form of Mana. She's just abusing her power. You know, she's kind of established that she's all about doing things on a whim, but this time it's just clear bias. You know, before we had the whole thing with her wanting more criminal chefs coming in to do this thing, her somehow being able to shelter these chefs from the law enforcement, her being able to dig up information on these chefs and then not giving it to law enforcement, all kinds of stuff, right? But you were able to get past that, but this is just, the integrity of a tournament is pretty much being destroyed. Which kind of goes to the story thing. You know, do I respect the blue as an in-story tournament? And it's like, no, not really, because the author is just kind of warping the blue for whatever situation he needs. which you could argue maybe this happens in some other tournaments, but this is really heavy-handed. The integrity of tournaments themselves are being warped in this situation, and it's being done by the person in absolute power, and it's being done in a way that no one else seems to be complaining about it, even though realistically, given the past context in Shokugeki no Soma, we have seen people be vocal about this kind of abuse. So again, I think this is a case where if we were to go back throughout the history of Shokugeki no Soma, you can build a case that the internal logic of Shokugeki no Soma is once again being screwed over the course of this one arc. Which isn't the greatest thing to happen, because at that point, you know, it kind of looks like the author is just trying to make villains for people. They're just really trying to drum them up. He's trying to build the suspense to make these villains feel more worthwhile. Which leads me to the next thing. And we're still in Operation Rehash. For instance, I've pointed it out previously in other videos, this blue arc has even used setups that look exactly like the scenes from the autumn elections. It's also upgrading one of the previous themes in Shokugeki no Soma, which is hard work versus natural talent, and it's just kind of upgraded them into like superpowers versus super hard work. In this case, Erina, once again, is one of the people in trouble in this arc. We know that she has the extra choice of being, you know, having her marriage on the line with Asahi or whatever Asahi wants to do. Erina has that problem going on in there. But when you look at this and the Regiment de Cuisine, when you look at the villains for these two arcs, it's again a rehash, because for the Regiment de Cuisine, you had someone who was powerful within the food world. You had someone who used his power to make life a living hell for a select few of our protagonists, and then you had that person also be related to Erina and also be someone who is most likely responsible for a lot of dysfunction in Erina's life. Those three qualities represent both Azami and Mana, which is kind of ridiculous when you see it in the grand scheme of things. They're both people who are abusing their powers just to make life tough on someone on our side. And that's just... it's funny. It's funny when you point out that, hey, like, that's the author's kind of go-to card here. He's bringing in the villains, and the villains happen to be Erina's very, very influential parents. You can't argue it's a rehash. Mind you, though, it's a rehash in broad strokes. In terms of little details, I do think we're going to be seeing some differentiation here. But speaking of that, moving into the next point, Mana's character. So, you know, the moment that Mana gets involved here, you can start asking questions. Okay, what's her relationship with Zenzaemon? She wasn't a part of Erina's life. Was she ostracized along with Azami? How well do Azami and Mana get along? You know, does Mana have any ill will towards her brother or towards her father? We know that she has some ill will towards Erina. You know, these are all the questions that you can start asking. And these are good questions to ask because it is kind of interesting to have Erina's mother, while she is a bit spoiled, be in such a position of power. And now we're getting to see her. It also does bring up the question like, well, how much does Mana actually know about Totsuki? Is the exclusion of Totsuki at these events having to do with her personal grudge? Or is it just like an oversight on the author's part? It doesn't really matter. Like, things are just going to happen because they're going to happen. You know, these are all the cool questions that we can really ask in this situation, which I think is pretty worthwhile. Now, when you look at her character design, you can take out a few more clues and hints. And that's specifically, you look at the way her eyebrows look. This is the stereotypical princess type character, the princess archetype, or what's called in Japanese, Ojo-sama or whatever it is. You know, like whenever there's like a really annoying, spoiled character, they have those little eyebrows. That's your cue to know that this person is like high-bred and she looks down on people. Maybe she needs some character development to bring her back down to normal. That's pretty much what we get with Erina's mother. And that tells you a few things. Like, unfortunately, we have to play the whole, you know, you're reading a book judging a book by its cover, but it usually works with manga characters, especially when they're just so aggressive like this. So from that, you could tell this woman is most likely spoiled, which is why she's able to get away, or why she's even willing to suggest all these changes at the last minute, and why she's just having her whims just go out of control. She's spoiled, so she hasn't been restrained, and Given that she is in a position of power, there's a pretty good chance that she took her role in the Nakiri family. She took it for granted, and she just didn't respect the responsibility that came with that role, and most likely that has something to do with her being ostracized. Mind you, she still has a lot of credentials within the food world, so we probably are going to see a few wrinkles there, but I do imagine there's probably some degree of this woman is competent and able, but she just didn't use that power responsibly. Now, we also have another wrinkle in terms of Erina and her relationship. And Soma kind of points out that there might be a little bit more going on in here. So I'm just going to put out what I think, is that the blue still looks like a competition designed to look for Erina's husband. If we consider the things that the blue has had chefs doing, I still think it's kind of possible to say that this woman wants to find a husband for Erina, and that would tie back in to the Asahi plot, since he's pretty much going for marriage. And then if we take that into consideration, we see how much she wants to remove Erina from this competition. There might be some kind of weird warped motherly love at play here. Like, she wants Erina to be just set for life. She wants her to have a good husband, and she just wants her to be happy. And the way that she sees it is just like Erina doesn't need to be cooking, other people do that for her. Maybe she has some kind of weird warped view about it. She just wants to remove her from it, and there's just some kind of weird resentment because of that, because she doesn't want Erina to be a cook or something. I don't know. The way I see it, like, I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this arc, this mother talks about how this competition was in a way for her, and that she just wanted Erina to be set for life and not have to worry about cooking. Like, given how she feels about diners, given how she looks down on some aspects of the food world, I think you could probably say that, yeah, she might look down on cooking in some weird way. And then that kind of plays into like why she just doesn't want Erina involved in this place at all. I think there might be an issue of this woman just maybe overprotective. Like, there's just a lot of tension between her and Erina. It's pretty much her denying Erina's way of life or something like that. It's gonna be really interesting though, because we still don't have enough information. This is the only idea I have based on context clues from the content of the previous challenges. The ones that really matter though are the challenges at the convenience store and the challenges that Megumi and Takumi had to do. Those are the ones that kind of just tell me, okay, well, this girl probably is scouting out a husband or something like that, along with the other things she wants to do. I think it's going to be one of those things where they're going to say, like, in the back of her mind, she still thought of Erina, like she still cared about Erina. And another interesting thing is that we all know as fans that Azami would probably be really happy if Joichiro married Erina. Oh, sorry, wait, no. Actually, yeah, maybe he'd be fine with Joichiro as well. Sorry, but I meant Soma and Erina. But you know what? I think he would be happy if it was Joichiro and Erina. Anyway, not the point. Accidental slip of the tongue there. No, Soma and Erina. I'm pretty sure he'd be happy with it. So in a way, this competition might end up with both parents of Erina being very happy with Soma as a marriage candidate. And I think that's how it's going to go down. Anyway, that disastrous slip of the tongue out of the way, guys, let me know what you thought about this chapter. Overall, you know, we had an idea that this might have been happening. We had good reason to believe that it was going to be her, and it turned out to be her, and we end up getting an estranged relationship. We end up getting a parent who is abusing their power. Yeah. Another day in Shokugeki no Soma. So guys, let me know what you thought down below. And until next time, I hope you have an absolutely great day.